Hey everybody, this is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. I'm really pleased to announce that this episode is being brought to you by Ernex. So your equipment works hard, and just like you need a break to renew and operate at your highest potential, your equipment needs to be cleaned and cared for regularly to make amazing coffee. And for that job, I recommend and use Ernex. Ernex has been creating cleaning products for the coffee industry for over 80 years. They develop products for a wide range of equipment such as cold brew, steam wands, grinders, brewers, espresso machines, and even the first dedicated cleaner for roasters that was debuted at the SCA in Boston this year. So a really innovative company. And what's great about them is that they work hand in hand with coffee professionals across the globe to make sure that what we use in the shop daily is both effective and easy to use. And it never ceases to amaze me how powerful Ernex products are. The phrase, this is like magic, has been uttered by myself and others more times than I can count, honestly. So the bottom line is this. Clean equipment makes the best coffee, and the best cleaning products are definitely made by Ernex. So I would encourage you to find out more information by visiting their website, ernex.com. All right, so today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that we all know is a struggle. It happens, maybe it's happening to you daily. At some point, it's something that we just need to overcome often and find ways around. And that is when we really don't want to talk to people. And what do you do with that? What kind of solutions are there in place for people who are customer-facing craftspeople who are expected to sort of interact with the public? This is a crucial part of our job, to be able to pleasantly interact with the public, even if we don't feel like it. And I find one of the times that I really don't feel like it is when you're working the espresso machine and there are people watching you make coffee for a horde of customers, and they themselves are relaxed, of course, because they're not making the drinks, right? And they want to talk to you about something. They want to ask questions, or maybe they're standing there and they're not saying anything, but out of the side of your eye, you see them. And there's a part of you, those of you who are desiring to offer a higher level hospitality experience in your coffee shop, and I hope that's most of you, that wants that there's a tension there. At one side of things, you feel like, I wish I feel guilty for not saying anything to them. But if I do say something to them, I feel like I'm going to go out of control. I have to focus on what I'm doing. And that's a very real struggle. And it's really helpful, I think, to go into that situation knowing that you're going to feel that tension. It's kind of a battle of taking care of yourself and taking care of the drinks, and also the desire to take care of the customer. And so I feel like at the espresso machine and at the handoff is where this really rears its head. It's not only there, it's other places as well, like when you're stocking beans on the shelf and you know you need to get behind the bar again, but somebody starts talking to you. There's a lot of things that you can do in this situation to plan on a graceful interaction and exit. That's like the first thing that I would do is say, I know that these things are going to happen. I know I'm going to be put in these awkward situations where maybe I don't feel as free as I could be to interact with a customer. So I need to figure out ahead of time, what kind of things can I say? What kind of things can I do to pleasantly interact with somebody? And there's lots of things you can talk about with your staff that you could come up with a lot of solutions. Maybe some of the things are you can talk and walk at the same time in order to just keep moving. And you can have phrases, or you can have techniques for breaking free from conversation if somebody is too demanding of your time. That's not necessarily what this episode is about. Because each person's context is going to be slightly different, I want to talk about something a little bit more universal, and that is the determination to go the extra mile when you've got that tension. That really makes all the difference. When people are in a service environment like a coffee shop, we all, well, I say all, but a lot of us, most of us, use the fast food model. That's just a line that's queued, an order is placed, the order is made, the order is picked up, and you move on. And because of this, we have a propensity to become very systematized, and we expect a particular efficiency for the line and for ourselves. When customers grow to expect that, The least bit of nuance and the least bit of differentiation makes a big difference to them. Even though reaching out and going the extra mile for somebody in this situation, it will build your hospitality and your capacity for hospitality. In the moment, oftentimes it feels like death. When you're under a lot of stress, when you're dehydrated, when you didn't get to eat your food because the rush came, and you can see that the line is just growing, all of those things add pressure, and it makes you just knuckle down and not want to extend yourself beyond your station. And all the while, people are sitting there watching you, and even their watching you can add stress to it. What we do is we sort of take people and we turn them into their drinks. Now they're not people anymore. They're sort of objects that need to be shuffled and moved through the line along with the drink. And so there's a magic that happens, though, when we wrestle and overcome this resistance to reach out and just say a word or recognize an individual who's standing there. Most of the time, they're not used to it because they see a stressed out barista, and the stressed out barista is usually not going to say anything to them. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else of sort of hyper-focusing on what I'm doing, which you should be focused on what you're doing, but at the expense of what's going on around me. This is the battle that we face. And so the resistance says to be efficient, not authentic. It says to be curt, not polite. It finds negative excuses against the person to justify not being nice to them or not going above and beyond for them. Stuff like, well, they're standing too close, or they're too far away from their drink and they won't hear it be called, or they asked too many questions and they went to the bathroom instead of waiting for their drink. And hey, they're waiting for their drink. Why don't they just go somewhere else and give me space? You can see the mix of emotions here, and it kind of centers it all on you. It's sort of an overdeveloped survival instinct born from a desire to perfect our bar flow over the great guest experience, and prioritize it over a great guest experience. And notice there are excuses for why we can't reach out to people in those inconvenient times for hospitality. It changes and it contradicts itself. Most of the time, it's just this inner battle, and we do have opportunities in these moments when we're at the pass or elsewhere to extend ourselves beyond our capacity just a slight bit, to give people a genuine, heartfelt handoff of a drink or information about a product or directions to the restroom or whatever it might be. Just a little word of chit-chat. It doesn't have to be something magnificent. And I guarantee you that will start to develop in you a capacity to multitask in that way. You'll become more of a head-up service professional instead of the head-down kind that doesn't interact with people but only interacts with drinks. This is all about that resistance, the stuff that is talked about in the book by Steven Pressfield, The War of Art, which I would recommend you read that book. It's a really fantastic treatment on the resistance that creative people find that keeps them from doing their work. And that sort of resistance, I think, is at play in this situation as well. We also have an old episode of the Shift Break series called Laziness and the Most Important Decision that's related to this topic. I'll link to that in the show notes as well. But to end, I would encourage you by saying a lot of the most significant moments in your professional development and in the coffee experience that a customer has are born from moments that are not convenient, where we do have to extend ourselves beyond our comfort zone in the moment. And if we do that often enough, it will change the way we view people, ourselves, our capacity, and it will change the way people view us as professionals, and it will lift everybody up in the process. So I hope that this episode was helpful and that you remember these words when you're on bar again or when you're faced with an opportunity amidst an inconvenient hospitality moment. And I thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your time. Go and check out the amazing cleaning products over at earnex.com. And I will see you here for another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.